And welcome back to the Great Movie Podcast. We have a special podcast today because for once we really lucked out to get a hold of someone that we've been wanting to talk to for a little while. And welcome to the podcast, Nicolas Cage.
Hey, it's great to be here.
Yeah, I mean, we've been working with your agent for a long time to try and get you here, and we're back and forth and back and forth and talking about contracts and you being on set. But we thought we knew you didn't have a lot of time. We thought we'd steal you just for a couple of minutes, or a couple of quick questions. So I'll just dive right in if that's cool. Should I call you Nick or Mr. Cage, or what do you like?
Whatever you feel is fine. I think a lot of people just call me Nick.
All right, Nick. Nick, good, good. So you've done a ton of work across a lot of genres. We're talking like Con Air, where play this guy in a plane with you're acting opposite these great people, and then you played like the alcoholic guy, in Leaving Las Vegas, and then you've gone all over the place. Is there a reason that like you are interested in playing in a Spider-Man movie?
Yeah, I haven't, I had a lot of fun doing the Ghost Rider movie, and I wanted to keep doing that, and they wouldn't let me. And so, uh, when they said they had an opportunity to come back to the universe of Marvel, I said, yeah, why not?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, with all the amazing superhero movies available, like that's like such a fun one to get into. And is there anyone I don't want to spoil it for anyone. Is there like a villain in there you get to like shout at, or anything fun?
Yeah, they uh they asked me when I started filming how excited I was about the script, and I said, "Well, I I only read my parts to keep it interesting." And then when I was filming, I came across Sandman, and that was really cool.
So you've done a wide range of movies, as I said. And do you have a favorite film that you've worked on? And can you give us a line from that film, maybe? I mean, maybe you don't like doing that or whatever, but give us a
Well,
little taste.
let's see. Um Well, I really liked the National Treasure movies. Those were a lot of fun. I don't know. Well, so National Treasure is probably my favorite series, but my favorite line throughout my whole career is one that's been memed a bunch of times because it's just really funny looking. It's from The Wicker Man.
Yeah. Okay.
Not the bees. 'Cause I put so much intention behind these bees, and I thought this was a profound statement about bees, and it got memed a lot.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes they're you win or you lose with those. And then one final question: is there a film or a sequel or something coming up you're excited about or hoping to do?
Yeah, well, I recently got the script for National Treasure 3, so that's pretty cool. Going back in there, yeah, hopefully we get to do that. It's been in development hell for a while now, so.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, thanks so much for being with us, Nick, and maybe after we'll see if we can get in touch with you guys again and hook you up again.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Okay, guys. Welcome to the Great Movie Podcast. I am one of your co-hosts, Caleb, and this is the great Noah Ryan out of Cleveland, Ohio, the comedian and voice, as you might have picked up on the voice actor. And so we're just having a little fun there. We know there's obviously the new Spider-Man movie has dropped, and it's getting some
Show. Show.
show,
Yeah.
movie, mini series, documentary.
Yeah.
All of these things are true. And so the new thing, we'll just call it a thing, came out, and I'm really looking forward to seeing it. The trailer looks super cool, and so we thought we'd talk about Nicolas Cage and like one of my favorites. Good, bad, and ugly. I love it, and I know you also are a huge fan of Nick Cage. And what do you think about him jumping into the whole Spider-Verse stuff?
I think it's cool. If you don't know, it started off as him
voicing this character, Spider Noir, in the cartoon Spider-Man movies
Yeah.
called Into the Spider-Verse, and they were so beloved. By everyone who watched them. Technically, they're really cool. Voice wise, they're really fun. And they got to do some weird comic book draws that you can't really do in live action. And one of them was this Spider Noir character and
Hmm.
from the comic books, and they had Nicolas Cage voice him, and he was so beloved by the people, they were like, well, you know what? Nick is just weird enough that he would do this in live action. Let's ask him. And they got it done, and it's so cool. I think it's I'm very excited about it because I haven't watched any of it yet, but they filmed it two different ways. One is in black and white, so you can watch the whole thing in black and white, like an actual noir.
Oh, cool.
And then the other version is in Technicolor,
Hmm.
so that it has the old movie feel, which is still kind of cool. Uh,
Yeah.
so I don't know. I'm very excited about it. I'm glad Nicolas Cage is uh, back. I loved him in Ghost Rider. It was really weird and really out there, but like
Yeah.
he's fun and he's very comic himself, like comic book. He's like a comic book actor. So for him
Yeah.
to be in comic book movies is just fun.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing is that it's odd, weird, funny that he has got a reputation, sometimes I think undeserved, of like, oh, he's washed up, or he da 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 da. And it's like he is what I was going to say is he is willing to put himself out there in these roles where he can try a weirdo, comedy, or like some little sci-fi or horror, or like a an over-the-top action film. You mentioned the comedy. One of the things I think the first two things I ever saw him in were Moonlight, or Moonlighting. Moonlighting.
Yeah, Moonlight.
Yeah. What is it?
Moonlight with are you are Moonstruck? Moonstruck.
Moonstruck, not Moonlight. Yeah, Moonlighting. Moonlighting is the TV show with Bruce.
And
Uh,
then there's Moonlight, which is about gay black people. So that's not
right. And so maybe unless he wants to make a mashup, this is not what I'm. That is not the movie. If you rent Moonlight, you are going to be. Well, you might love it, but it's not
might
Nicolas
love it,
Cage.
but it's not going to have Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, like unless he's doing blackface or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then I saw him in Raising Arizona, which was one of the Coen brothers' first films, and those are versions of comedies, um and he has a really good sense of comedic timing for a lot of the stuff, and it doesn't seem like he takes himself super seriously. Um,
No, he just in interviews he comes off as a guy who just wants to try stuff
yeah,
um and just see like he does it for the art. He does it for the enjoyment and
yeah.
like uh seemingly does not do it for money at all. Like he like obviously wants to get paid, but like he does some really weirdo low budget stuff that there's no way he
Well,
makes.
I have a theory behind this, because for those that don't know, Nicolas Cage, that's not his real name.
Yeah.
He's a Coppola. In fact, his name is Nicholas Coppola. That was his given name, and so his uncle is Francis Ford Coppola, the famous director. His aunt is Talia Shire from the Rocky and all these other things, and so his brothers are in movies and TV and radio and other people. And so it strikes me as like he didn't have to like do anything for the money part aspect of it, and he just wanted to be in films. And I had read, which was super funny, that when he wanted to be in some of his uncle's movies, who is obviously he's making these amazing movies. And so he's in the car with his uncle one day, and he does like he like auditions for his uncle while they're driving in the car, and supposedly he did whatever lines he was supposed to do, and his uncle was like just dead silent and didn't say anything. And it's like, well, okay then.
Oh jeez.
So he got a few roles from Francis Ford Coppola movies, small stuff, but his we won't call him Coppola anymore. So Coppola, the director, he changed Nick's name in the movies because he didn't want him to appear like he was like giving him like roles. And then one of his first auditioned roles he got for that wasn't a Coppola film was Fast Times at Ridgemont High, the classic. And all of his co-stars kept quoting like movie lines from all of Coppola's films. And so Nicolas Cage was so annoyed with it that he changed his name, his acting name, to Nicolas Cage based on the comic book Luke Cage.
Nuts.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like this whole like he just
So
wanted to
long
do
story
film.
short, he does have a comic book origin.
Right. He does. Yes, I'm saying he has an origin story that is in comic
To
books.
bring
Right.
that back to Spider-Man.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So what was the first time you like saw Nick in something?
Hmm. Um, I wanna say, uh, National Treasure was probably the first movie that I
That
saw.
makes sense because it's like a family-friendly movie that you can show like younger kids, you
Yeah,
know.
I'm pretty sure National Treasure was the first one that I saw.
'Cause
Um,
that was like 2005-ish or something.
yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And then
2006, something,
over
whatever.
the
Yeah.
years, I've watched all of them. Not all of them, but a lot of them.
Yeah.
Um, he's and it's interesting too, he doesn't just do one genre either. It's not like, you get, actors like Jason Statham who might do a really crappy indie movie, and it's just action. It's the same thing. Like, you'll get
Yeah, it's the same
maybe
thing. Yeah.
maybe Liam Neeson does a really tiny, nobody knows the studio action film, but it's typically always action, at least now. But, like, Nicolas Cage does horror movies like Mandy. He does
Mandy. Yeah.
really weird, cerebral films like Pig, where he's a truffle hunter who's avenging the death of his truffle pig. Like,
Yeah.
just like
Yeah. And
really
his production company, I don't know when he founded it, but it wasn't like 30 years ago. He founded one in the last, I don't know, 10, 15 years. Um and one of the films that he produced was Shadow of the Vampire, which is like a small indie horror film, and which is a fantastic little film. He doesn't act in it or anything. But and yeah, like you said, he jumps around and he does a lot of little films, and even like because there's some directors that do technically like small films, but they end up big because the directors are known enough. But like he had a shot to star in The Wrestler, Aronofsky film.
Oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
so he was thinking about doing it, but then he went to Aronofsky and he was like, "Hey, like I don't quite have enough time to get into the physical shape I would need to play an ex wrestler. So why don't you find somebody else like that's even better for it?" And then they found Mickey Rourke, and then they're like, "This guy's perfect for it." So it's like interesting. He's like, I'll try it, and then he's honest about it. He's like, I can't quite pull that off, and um, yeah, it's I love the fact that he does in yeah, and maybe it has to do with I don't know. I've seen a lot, like interviews where he is like talking about the current film or whatever, but I don't focus on a lot of that stuff anymore. So maybe there's some interviews with him that he explains why he chooses what he chooses, but um seems that he just wants to like yeah, like give me some scripts. Let me see what's interesting, you know.
I think he's truly interested by the process and interested by the concept in front of him, and he's also not afraid of doing sequels. He's done, I think he did 2 Ghost Rider movies, he's done 2 of the, National Treasure movies, soon to be 3. This
Although they've been talking about a third movie for like
I know,
a
but
while.
this one's I think it's now actually, like,
I
actually,
think it will. Yeah.
uh,
I think he's had enough resurgence and first and like and I've complained about this many times about how like some of these studios are like they constantly just want to find $1 billion like golden eggs, and it's like sometimes you got to be happy with making a movie that's like it costs you 100 million. I mean, don't worry about the numbers, people. This is how movies are. It costs you 100 million to make and advertise, and then maybe only make like 150 million, but like you have more fans then. People love your film and they love your actors, and like you can build on that. Yet every film doesn't have to be $1 billion film. And
right.
so it's like people have been asking for National Treasure for years, and all the people like were like, "Oh, we don't know, we're looking for another tent post for our franchises." I'm like, "Ah, you know." Like he's actually speaking of sequels, he's doing a sequel to Lord of War, actually.
Oh, they're really doing that.
Yeah. So for those that don't know, there's a kind of a smaller film called Lord of War that came out in the early 2000s, and he plays a Ukrainian arms dealer, and the movie also stars Jared Leto and Ethan Hawke and Bridget Moynihan, and like like it's based on a true story of this guy who's like the world's like biggest arms dealer. And it's Eamon Walker is in it as he plays like an African um like warlord basically.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, Eamon Walker is one of my favorites. I want to talk about him in a different podcast actually, but anyway, so it's this great film, and it explores the kind of the seedy, dirty underworld of like you know like these guys who are so powerful they fund wars, like literally they're profiting off of both sides buying the guns to fight each other, and then no matter who wins they'll fight they'll sell arms to the insurgency for the next war. It's a kind of a fascinating movie, and the sequel is going to be about how his son, so what basically at some point, no spoilers because this is a true it's based on true facts. The arms dealer that the movie's about, his name's Yuri Orlov or something like that. He gets sent to jail, and his son creates another arms empire, and then so the sequel is about them going at it. Now
Oh.
I don't know a lot about their story and their family and the whole thing, but it's I guess there's enough there to make a movie about. And so as a piece of trivia, which you'd kind of like maybe chuckle about, um, a couple of years ago, there was a little bit of like news made about a female basketball player who was caught in Russia trying to, I'll just put in quotes because I don't remember the exact details, but something there's drugs involved in an airport and she
Yeah,
got nabbed.
Griner, yeah.
Right. So they traded Yuri, the world's biggest arms dealer, for the basketball player. And basically, within a few months, he was out there becoming the biggest arms dealer in the world again. So, like, a lot of critics were like, "What are you doing? Why did you do this?" Anyway, who knows, the what ends up with all these people. But I thought it was interesting that sort of like,
I hope that's in the sequel. That'd be really funny.
that would be funny if the sequel starts when he gets out of prison.
Yeah. And they could actually have Brittany Griner come in and star as herself just in, like, a quick little exchange.
Oh
Just
yeah, maybe, yeah. Yeah, just to make people mad.
yeah.
No, but yeah, like we were saying, like he's pretty interesting in that he will pick up these small little indie films that that kind of a film, a movie about an arms dealer. It's a drama. There's no action. There's no little action, but I mean, like it's not made. You don't make that movie to make a ton of money, but he's willing to just And then there was one where he was with where he played kind of like himself recently in a movie.
Yes.
What was the name of that one?
Massive talent.
Massive Talent. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. With, Pedro
Who's in
Pas
everything. Yeah, Pedro Pascal. Yeah.
I loved have you seen that?
I haven't seen that one yet.
Yeah,
No.
I
Mm-mm.
highly recommend it. If you're like, "I need a movie that will make me laugh and there's no stakes," that is such a good movie.
Yeah.
I laughed hysterically at it. The way they, uh the best thing about that movie is that Nicolas Cage is playing Nicolas Cage,
Right. Right.
but it's this meta, like, take on Nicolas Cage being Nicolas it's great. It's great. If you like Nicolas Cage, that's a good movie. And then, talking of sequels, they just announced the other day that, he's coming back for a Longlegs sequel, which is interesting because that was, a couple years ago that came out, but it said Nicolas Cage's take on the serial killer genre.
Hmm.
Um, and, Longlegs, it's this really creepy serial killer, and it's kind of got the movie has the vibes of, like, Silence of the Lambs or, any of the other serial killer flicks, and it was good. I think there were some I think, like,
So it's a sequel to a serial killer movie?
yeah, yeah.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I mean, I
I
guess that does happen. I mean, like, there are sequels to Silence of the Lambs and whatever. I think when I think of serial killers, generally I think of like they do what they do and it's terrible, and then they get caught and they go to prison. Usually there isn't like a second act for most serial killers,
yeah,
but if you,
I
but
think
if
I
it's
think
fictional, it makes sense.
I
Yeah.
think for this one, I don't think it's based on a true story, so I think they can do whatever the heck
Right.
they want because there's no
Right. Right.
limitations to the real world. But yeah, so that's interesting. I like the movie was weird. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it, and he was the best part of it. And that's the weird thing about Nicolas Cage movies, with the exception of like the ones that everyone knows. If you look at the smaller films, or even the ones that are quote unquote terrible, that go
Hmm.
direct to DVD or now direct to streaming, um, he's always pretty good. And if he's
Right.
not good, you're watching. There's a movie that my brothers and I watched called A Score to Settle. And the rating on Rotten Tomatoes is 16%.
Oh,
And
geez.
and
Oh.
on IMDb it gets a 4.8. So it's terrible. But this movie is this mob enforcer who gets out of prison and he's trying to track down the people that killed his family. And it's Nicolas Cage, and it's the whole movie too. He has some sort of head trauma, and so it makes him an unreliable narrator. And so you're wondering if what is going on is real up until the very end of the movie.
Oh,
And
okay.
the dialogue is terrible. It's so bad. It's so bad. There's there's a scene where he's in his strip club and he goes in the back and there's this guy that's just like getting a dance or whatever. And he's just I won't swear, but he swears, but he basically just goes, "Ladies, leave." And, like, it's supposed to be this intimidating, like, "You guys need to get the heck out of here." And he was just like, "Ladies, leave." And they all, like, run away like he has a gun, but it's just him. It is the dumbest dialogue. It's so
What's funny?
bad.
It, he he- he's been in films that there is action, but he's not necessarily known as an action star,
No.
and that just could be just because he never really got that role or whatever. And um, but just speaking of like kind of like him being intimidating or whatever. Like there was a movie I don't really remember the plot because I've never seeing it. It was called Kiss of Death,
Okay.
and he plays. I just remember he got jacked for the film, and he wore like a I was gonna say a wife beater, but I can't because I can't remember the name of the shirt. Like the little tank top thing that guys wear, or whatever it is. Oh, it's
The
wife
wife
beater.
beater? Yeah.
Anyway, so he's wearing that, and he's like jacked, and his hair's back, and he's like he is kind of intimidating in that movie. And it was like, oh, he got like this dude can get jacked when he wants to, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, there's another I had to so the thing, my brothers and I, when we get together, we purposely find the worst Nicolas Cage movie we haven't seen and put it on, and that's our thing. And this other one we watched is called Outcast. It has a 5% on Rotten Tomatoes and it has
oh,
4.6 on IMDb. And it's him and Hayden Christensen.
that's a
And they
combo.
play, yeah, and they play war-weary crusaders who are helping two Chinese uh helping a Chinese prince and princess who are trying to oust their brother who killed their father, who's like the emperor of China.
Was it like some production company in China? It's like we got like $1 million for each of these guys. You
We have
want to fly to
Anakin
China
and
for a month
Nicolas
and film?
Cage. Yeah.
Yeah, and Nicholas is like, well, I can buy a big boat with that.
Oh, and it's terrible. They have top knots. They're like they've got swords. It's it was an epic. I think it's like 2.5 yeah, it's like I think it's like I don't know, 2 hours long. It's like it's not
Gee.
short either. Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. And the uh like it was not good at all. And we were like, all right, maybe this will be one of those movies that people just hate because it's Hayden Christensen. And no, it was bad.
Although it makes me think a little bit like because we hear sometimes like because you and I love movies obviously, and we sometimes listen to interviews by actors or whatever, and every so often you hear an actor who's like, I just make films because I like the director or I like the other actors, or it's like I don't know what's going to be. I don't know what it's going to be like. It's a thriller. It's set in like Monaco, and it gives me. I guess I can go to Monaco for a month because I don't. As anyone that really watches any of the behind the scenes stuff on DVDs or whatever, like um a lot of the actors, so much of it is out of their control after they do their lines and they do their thing. Like you don't know what you don't know how the special effects are going to be really good or not.
Mm.
Like they might give you like a picture of here's what you might look like in your outfit with your top knot, and then you get there and you look so ridiculous. You're like, well, I already signed a contract, so I mean, I'm gonna be wearing this and having the top knot anyway. I might as well have fun with it. And so I think it was who was it? It was John Rice Davies, who's of the like Lord of the Rings, Gimli, and the Indiana Jones movies. He makes so many films, and he's just like, yeah, I never know which one's gonna be a big hit. I just make films that are fun. And I think with a Nicolas Cage kind of guy who doesn't have to do it for the money, he's just like, I want to make films. Who knows? Who knows? I mean,
Yeah.
I could be this could be the biggest hit in China for all I know.
Well, that's
And then
Cary Grant once famously asked Humphrey Bogart, uh, like what was the key to his success? Because Bogart got several more nominations than Cary Grant, and Bogart was like, "I just do everything." He was like,
yeah, yeah,
he's like,
yeah, yeah,
good, bad, I just do everything. Now,
yeah.
that's cool that there's people that do that. And I think Nicolas Cage is probably one of those guys. Because there's you and I actually saw this in theaters, but we saw that movie Snowden that came out about Edward Snowden.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And he
Hmm.
plays his professor in that film. And that was really good. And a very small, like understated performance from Nicolas Cage.
Who he was in that? I don't even remember him in that.
Yeah,
He was so.
he played Snowden's professor in
Oh
college.
wow. Okay. Yeah. No, I remember the movie. But it's yeah. That was such a tiny little part of the film. I barely remember it. Wow.
Yeah. But
No.
he's also capable of playing those, like, small roles that are not, like, over the top, like, Nicolas Cage, uh
Yeah.
'cause it is weird. It's not like, when you watch Nicolas Cage, it's not like he's always on 11. Like, if you watch a lot of his best movies, he's, like, seriously acting, but then there's the movies that suck, and he's got, like, this, like, over the top Nicolas
Yeah.
Cage. And so I don't know if he gets to set and he's like, "This movie's gonna suck, so I'm gonna have fun," or
Right.
if it just is a weird coincidence that the movies that suck are the movies where he's like, because is there a movie that you thought was really good from Cage where he was like Nicolas Cage on a 10?
Where he was big Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, big Nicolas Cage, but it worked. Like, is there one that
Um.
you
Like if we're not going to talk just dramas, just any movie, I would say that like The Rock.
Ooh, good one.
Because here's the thing, like it's very easy to knock the film, but it's also not easy to create a film that people will love for decades. So you have again and again and again, you have these Nicolas Cage kind of mannerisms and things he says with his, and he does his thing with his hands and things and his big old hands and everything. And then like you have Sean Connery doing his thing and Ed Harris, and it's like um, I think it's a Michael Bay film. So you have the dun, dun, da, 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 you have the music going and the pyrotechnics, and it's like it just works as a fun film, like back when they used to make just fun films that didn't have a superhero in it.
Yeah,
And he's so Nicolas Cage, but it's also works so well. And he actually doesn't really play the action hero. He plays sort of the nerdy scientist, which is kind of like up his alley. Because again, I think he's been in a couple war films. I think he was in was it Wind Talkers that he was in?
yeah.
Yeah. And he's probably been a couple others that I'm not aware of. But like he doesn't do, it could be it's like one of those things where you take a picture of like some dude and he's like all ripped on Instagram or whatever, and then you ask the guy to like run down the street and he's like, and he can't even do it. He's like so awkward, and not everyone is like athletic, running around, kicking and jumping and stuff. And he might just be like a guy that he can lift weights and look okay, but he can't maybe do action stuff very well. you
Yeah,
know?
it's possible. That's possible. Because even like, I haven't seen it yet, but this Spider Noir series, it looks like he's very minimal with stunts because it's such a vintage kind of vibe. It's not like constantly fighting
Yeah.
this and the
He's
other.
also a very big guy. Um,
Yeah.
a, a friend of mine ran into him at um, it was like a premiere somewhere. Her son was some famous skateboarder, and he was invited to a premiere, so he brought his mom along. And so I didn't know the kid. He was like, he was kind of in the same like echelon of the Tony Hawks. He was like that kind of guy. Wasn't Tony Hawk, but it was someone else. And he brought his mom with, and at the premiere, she met Nicolas Cage, and she was telling me, she was like, he came up and he was super nice, and when he shook my hand, it felt like I was shaking a hand of an orangutan. It was so big and hairy. It was like covered in black hair, and supposedly, and it's a rumor, supposedly he has to shave his hands before he does the films because he's such a hairy person.
That's wild.
No idea if that's true, but I
Yeah.
mean, based on the knowledge of the hand, could be true.
Yeah, and I wonder if his size makes it hard for casting too. Like, because I
Sure.
feel like that could be a thing. I mean, he's playing trailer just came out, like the teaser came out not too long ago, but he's playing uh why am I blanking in it? John Madden. He's playing John
Oh,
Madden
right. Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
new
hmm
biopic about John Madden, which is such wild casting.
But
Um
he kind of does look like him a bit with the hair and the stuff.
I know. So I wonder, but I wonder if like roles like that, where they're, like did they look at John Madden and like, oh, Nicolas Cage, or were they like, all right, so who are like larger than life, like, because
Right.
not only is Nicolas Cage, and not only is Nicolas Cage like a big human, but he's big in his acting choices.
Right.
So the
Yeah.
combination of a big guy and his like it stands out way more than if you're
And
like
and maybe if it's a
well,
John Madden kind of a character, and John Madden was notoriously, I don't know exactly how tall he was, but
it's a
he
big
was
dude.
a he was a big football guy, and he also was like, he was larger than life with how he talked and how he his personal life and all that kind of stuff. I don't know all his details too much or whatever, but like he was larger than life, and so maybe they wanted someone that could pull that off. And I did hear when the whatever the teaser came out, there were a lot of people like, no, 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 not Nicolas Cage. But I'm like, I think you guys might be selling it short first. Just give it a second because
I mean, I don't know
he
who
might
else.
pull it off.
It's very interesting casting, and when I saw Nicolas Cage, I was like, "Huh, that's so strange." But I mean, hey, I'm interested to see. The trailer didn't really show him off too much. It was more so the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm interested to see what happens with that.
Yeah, it's I guess like I said, I mean, I watch football, but I don't follow historically. I don't know a ton about the guy, so maybe there's enough there. But I mean, I can say that, but there's a lot of biopics where they take the most boring stuff and they turn it into a good film. So it's possible it's a fairly ordinary person, but I don't know. I just don't know enough about it to know if it's going to
Yeah.
be an interesting film or not. But um, someone thought it would be.
Yeah, someone.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, I also I think it's Cage is interesting. Like we were saying, he does all kinds of films, but he's done a bunch of voice acting as well. And I think that's pretty cool because not every actor uh wants to do that. And he did voice acting before it was like before they were doing the thing now where they have all the celebrities play every role in an animated movie. Um, but he was in a Disney movie called G-Force, where they were a bunch of spy hamsters or spy gerbils, I think they were. And then he's been in Ant Bully, and he's been in a movie that people really liked called The Croods, and I
The
think
Cruise,
there's a
yeah.
sequel to that as well. And then again, the Spider-Man cartoon movies. Um,
Hmm.
and I like that he is doing that because he has one of those voices that's like perfect for cartoon. Like he's so larger than life and so like recognizable without being distracting when you watch him as like a cartoon character, and I think it's really fun that he's willing to do that because not everyone is. Not everyone wants to do a role where they can't be seen. So
Right, yeah,
I think
that's
that's pretty
true.
cool too. That just a small highlight because there's not like a lot to go off of, but I had to mention those because that's pretty. As someone who loves voice acting and does some of it myself, I think that's really fun that he does that.
Yeah. Um, so do you, because he's done so many different things, and I know we've watched like a zillion of his stuff. Do you have a favorite of his film wise or otherwise?
I mean, it has to be. It's a lot of it is nostalgia based, but I think for me, it has to be the National Treasure movies, 1 and 2, and it's really hard. Every time I watch them, I go, oh well, 2 is better than 1, or 1 is better than 2. Like I can't. They're so good. They they somehow found a genre of movie that doesn't like they created their own genre, like because it's adventure, but it's not quite like it's not quite as actiony as like Indiana Jones is. It's like its
Yeah.
own kind of treasure hunter adventure,
Yeah.
and it just like the cast of characters they put together, like Harvey Keitel as the head of the
Hmm.
FBI is just so
He's
delightful.
so good.
You like
The great Sean Bean, of course, you
Yeah,
know.
Sean Bean is the villain, and then Ed Harris is the villain in
Ed
the second
Harris.
movie. Like,
Yeah.
just there's so many good. John Voight as his dad, Helen Mirren as his mom.
Helen Mirren.
Like,
Yeah.
just such good little like, Bruce Greenwood. I think the actor's name is
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
plays the president of the United States,
Yeah.
like,
Hmm.
just like just like little pieces here and there that just make those movies like, every character that's on screen, even the little side characters, are all just perfectly layered, and they're just fun, like, you can put them on anytime, all the lines are quotable, like, it's one
Yeah.
of the most I think it's one of the most quotable, like, uh I don't know what you call a pair of movies, I guess. It's one of the most quotable pair of movies of all time. Like every single like minute of that movie has some sort of a quotable line. Like it's it's just great. And a lot of that is nostalgia, I think, for me, because I watched that was like my first introduction to Nicolas Cage. And I really it's like it's I don't know. It's he's so good in those movies. Like he makes you really um when he's talking about this treasure that doesn't exist in real life, you're like, yeah, that's right. Like, yeah, like you're rooting for him to find this treasure. And he gets
Yeah.
so hyped about American history. Like I remember when I was a kid and I watched that movie, I was like, I need to learn everything I can about American history. Like this is the coolest, like this country rules.
Well, it's sort of like you said, it's not as it doesn't have the adventure of like the Indiana Jones kind of stuff, but it has, and obviously those are period pieces also, um, so it has some of the kind of putting the pieces together of a mystery, like the Da Vinci Code movies and that sort of stuff. The Metzler or whatever that guy's name is. So which those are good, but they take themselves very seriously, and this is like it takes itself seriously, but there's an element of tongue in cheek, but they don't go the full tongue in cheek. It's like you said, you believe that this guy's after this treasure that doesn't exist, but they they layer it really well with like the Resolute desk and what's on the Statue of Liberty and what's on a certain coin and does it match this and what's on the back of this document and then but they do have some of the kind of the heisty kind of stuff about like stealing things and like how do we infiltrate to go
How do we
to
kidnap the president of the United
how do we
States?
kidnap the president? There's that. So it's I just those are the things I love about it is that the writing on it, I always go back to this, of course, is the writing on it is really, really well done about how they weave everything together. And then obviously you have the casting, of course, which was like tremendous in both movies. And then the music is actually very
So good.
um and it's like it's interesting. Sometimes there's a good enough composer that can compose music for something that when you hear it, you're like, oh, that's a National Treasure stuff.
Oh, and in a very small role, I'd be remiss if I didn't shout it out, but Christopher Plummer playing his grandpa.
Oh, yeah, that's right, at the very beginning. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, "You wanna
Yeah,
be a knight?"
yeah, so it's just it's great when you have one of those movies that, like, you have, like, when the checklist, you have the casting, you have the music, you have the writing, um, you have a little bit of adventure and the fun, a little bit of romance. Like, when you check mark all those, it's like, again, you don't have to, like, have a billion-dollar movie, you just have to have a movie that people wanna go watch 10 years later and go like there's lots of like we just mentioned movies that like Nicolas Cage has been in that we don't want to go back and see all the time, right? And that's fine. Or other actors, you know, there's like there are great movies that come out and you're like, I saw the movie, we'll discuss it, but I don't feel like the need to put it on when I just want to like veg out like when it's raining outside or whatever. I'm like, hey, you know, a national treasure because that'll pick my spirits up. You know, I
Yeah.
always feel good when I'm like they're like Riley, you know, and it's just like this is just it's just yeah.
And, like, it's so ingrained in my brain. I did a show last summer in DC, and before I had my show, the show was like, I don't know, ten minutes up the street from the mall. So I went down to the mall and I'm sitting on the Lincoln Memorial and I'm looking out at the pool
Oh
and
yeah, yeah.
I'm like, this is exactly the seat that they sit in the movie where it's like I'm gonna steal it. And then, Riley goes, You can't steal that's like stealing a monument. That's like stealing him." And then he points at the
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
so good. Riley is, like, the perfect and it's weird because in that movie, they make Nicolas Cage, like, a serious like, he's the serious like, he does have some funny lines, but, like, he's, like,
Right.
serious guy. And
Yeah,
then
he's a serious guy. Yeah.
they have Riley in there as, like, the goofball, and I think in a lot of movies, Nicolas Cage is the goofball, and
Yeah.
so it's cool to have him kinda leveled out, and I think that's why those movies work so well because he's able to be a little bit goofy here and there, but, like, for
Yeah.
the most part, it's like, he's very just, like, chill.
And you know what's weird about it? And that like as much like and again, I don't think it's warranted like some of the flack that he gets because like when you watch him in the National Treasure movies, he's a believable scientific nerd guy that's like
Oh, yeah.
he's telling you about this pipe that was in some ship and it goes here and it goes in the Resolute desk and the things click and oh we have to solve the cipher and it's like you believe everything he's talking not like not that you believe whatever but like he's doing it in a very believable acting way that makes it kind of like you could have had another someone else in that role because again, there's so many chalk boxes checked, but like he fit it so well you can't imagine anyone else doing it, you know.
No. And I mean, it's yeah, I mean, you can't think of anybody else that would do
And that I think, and I know like they've talked about doing like we mentioned about doing a sequel at some point, but like again, that's like that's like a golden like thing. Like if you just put out one of those every 5, 6, 7 years or whatever, like you could do that till you're 80 years old
Yeah.
and make fun like movies about finding adventures and treasures and that kind of stuff. It's like it's the perfect vehicle. So I don't know if they just didn't want to. I know there's some of it was they were looking for another big, Iron Man movie or whatever. But like it could also be that like Nicolas Cage, I don't know, we typecast or whatever, but he's willing to do sequels, so I don't think it was on him. I don't think that's the case.
I think it was probably just money and figuring out, like, what script. I think maybe also too, their the teaser that they left for the 3rd one was Area 50 whatever the heck it is, Area 52?
Yeah. Well, they talked about a couple things. Yeah.
Yeah, but the big one was the president was like, "Have a look at that page for me."
Yeah.
And I feel like up to that point, obviously, the treasures aren't real, but, like, they made it it was very grounded in realism and real history, despite that treasure being fake, both movies. And
Yeah.
so I wonder if they were like, we want to do aliens, but there's nothing grounded in realism. So maybe they're waiting. And now that there's all this alien stuff, maybe that'll help them to, if that's the angle that they wanted to go with as far as like treasure goes. Maybe if
Yeah.
it's some sort of that, they're like using this disclosure stuff to help base it in realism. Because part of what works with those first two movies is that there's a lot of history laced into this random story that's not real.
Well, you don't know that it's not real.
Well, true.
No, no. I mean, there is the city of gold that the Incas had, and you have like the lost city of Z, and there's. I mean, I'm telling you, like once you go
There's
down the rabbit hole, there's a
there's
lot of
probably
things.
there's probably some influencers whose life goal is to find the treasure from
The
National
tr
Treasure.
Right, well, the treasure of the Knights Templar, I mean, there's all kinds of I mean, they
Okay.
might not have found it yet, but they're getting closer, that's all I'm saying.
Is there a would you say that those are your favorite Cage as well, or do you have another movie that you would highlight as yours?
Yeah, well, I would say that probably those were probably my favorite in that they just cover so many, like I mean, I love The Rock, but it's like I don't like put on The Rock as a movie to watch. It's like you run across it on TV, and if you have like a half hour to kill, maybe you watch part of it, and you're like, oh yeah, okay, I remember, Sean Connery, doing his like, well, the only quote that I can do from him is where he swears, so I won't do that one. But
Oh, my favorite quote from Sean Connery, just it has nothing to do with Nicolas Cage, but it's from oh shoot, what's the name of the gangster movie he's in with
oh, The Untouchables.
yeah, where he's like uh you don't bring a knife to a gunfight. He puts one of yours in the hospital, you put one of his in the morgue.
I like one of my favorite for Sean Connery is when he's in at towards the end where they're running around this nuclear submarine in Hunt for Red October, and they're shooting and there's like the subterfuge going on, and Sean Connery's like he like holds the guy from shooting. He's like, not everything here, like what was it? It was not everything here reacts well to bullets or something like yeah I don't know. It's just there's certain lines when you hear it you're like yes Sean
Yes.
Connery, thank
Sean
you, I needed that
Connery.
one.
Yes.
No,
Yeah.
one of the movies I love with Nicolas Cage, and it's not high cinema. It is not. It
Okay.
is just a big fun movie that I don't care what anyone says. When it came out, everyone loved it, and no one said this should be an Oscar-winning film, but everyone said I loved seeing that. I can't wait to watch it when it comes out on video. And that was Con Air
Mm. That's the I think that's the meme with the hair,
with the
right?
hair. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah.
I watched the interview the other day, and some lady was like, they were playing a game where Nicholas had to look at a meme and tell them what movie it was from, and they were all memes of him. And he was like, the last one was the Con Air meme, and he goes, "Oh yeah, I remember that one." He was like, "Cause I had this feeling, this is the first time that he's been able to feel free sun on his face, and what would that look like? And I was like, I'm gonna take it all in, and then that's the meme, and it's
Yeah,
so funny that a meme that is just like outrageous meme
yeah.
had like method behind it, like he had
You
a
know, right? He thought
he
about
was
it.
like he thought about it, and that's
Yeah,
what he went with.
yeah. Well, yeah. So Con Air, for those, I mean, if you haven't seen it, I mean, you got issues. But
Yeah.
you got John Malkovich, you got John Cusack, Steve Buscemi, Ving Rhames, Danny Trejo's in it. Oh, and there's like Dave Chappelle has a really funny role in that one. He's super funny. There's like before it was like There's like I look at Dave Chappelle as like before and after him going to Africa. And it's like somewhere in the middle, he became like a chain smoker. So his voice changed a lot. So he used to be like real high pitched and, whatever. And then whatever happened, he started smoking or something, and his voice dropped. And it's all raspy, and he's still funny as heck. But yeah,
Deep.
yeah. So yeah, so Con Air, Bruckheimer film. It's just one of the best parts about it is that it's kind of like when you, if you love movies and you see you see Buscemi in some movie and John Malkovich in some movie. And then I remember when it came out, I was in college, and there was a trailer for it. Nicolas Cage. Everyone's like, okay, Nicolas Cage. Cause even in the mid '90s, we were like, you just don't know. It could be a really fun film, or it could just be like some weird film. No one knows but Nicolas Cage. But then when when they showed John Malkovich as like some killer convict guy, and you're like, yes, yes. And then they're like, Steve Buscemi, the weird looking guy, serial killer. Yes, Ving
Yes.
Rhames. And they use Hot off of Pulp Fiction at the time. And he's like some killer. And then, so it's like everybody that you love in movies, and they're in the same movie, and they all get to play, oh, completely over the top bad guys. And John Malkovich is just amazing in that film, as
Right.
always. Yeah. It's, I think I would say it's an underrated film. I'm not even gonna look at what the popcorn says it's supposed to be, the rating. I'm not gonna even look at it. No.
I'm
That's
I'm
like a
actually
7 out of a 10.
I'm actually curious what it says. Oh, okay. Well, you'd be happy with this on IMDb. 6.9 out of 10.
Yeah,
There you
yeah,
go. There you go. They have a 59% on Rotten Tomatoes, which means you
yeah,
are in the half that liked it.
yeah, yeah. Well, and so it goes back to like sort of like my sort of theory of just like, yeah, you got sometimes you just make films that are fun, and that one did not need a sequel. It doesn't need anything crazy. It's just things are blowing up. A lot of one-liners that are fun, over the
Really
top
ugly styled
action.
hair.
What's that?
Really ugly styled hair.
Wait, who had ugly styled
No,
hair?
just
No,
I
I
mean,
know.
yeah, yeah.
Although that could be the only movie I think I've ever seen with Nicolas Cage where he had long hair. I think
Hmm.
there could be another one, but it's not coming quickly to mind.
Well, I mean, he has longer hair in Pig, but not that long. And then, uh,
I mean, like a big movie that people have seen.
yeah,
Right. Yeah. He
yeah.
makes a lot of small films.
True, true, true. Yeah,
Well, it could be that at that time, because this was a long time ago, he had just enough hair to do it naturally. And then after that, he's like, I would have to wear so many weirdo wigs to pull it off, and no one's gonna buy it. So I'm not doing long hair after this. My hair is too
fair.
thin. I
Plus,
can't do it.
plus, I feel like it's so recognizable from Con Air. If he does it again,
Yeah,
it takes
exactly.
away
Yeah.
from Con Air.
It'd be fun to see him in, and maybe he's dealt on the edges of something, but like, it'd be cool to see him in like a real Italian movie, considering he is Italian, and that's a big part of his heritage, and he doesn't really mess around with that much.
Like a gangster movie.
Gangster, or yeah, some kind of like gritty, either gangster or a cop drama or something that deals with like the Italian underbelly of the 1970s or something. Like imagine him in a big wide lapel shirt. I mean, but he can't do it and be over the top. He has to like do
Well,
a real.
supposedly, I just saw an announcement the other day, and I don't know if this is true or not, but supposedly Coppola is working on a Godfather 4.
Yeah, I don't know if that should
So
happen.
I don't either, because Megalopolis was one of the worst movies ever made, and that was like his magnum opus. So if you're magnum opus, anyways, but that could be an interesting spot for Cage to finally get that Godfather.
Yeah, man, now that you said that, I don't know if this should happen at all. I mean, like, no,
Never
like,
mind. Never mind. You should not.
yeah. Well,
You
well,
should
even if you take Cage out of it, like, I don't. Godfather 3 as a standalone movie is not a terrible movie,
yeah.
but because the first two were so epically, specifically good, and then the third one wasn't as good, but so it was a bigger letdown than it really should have been if it wasn't a sequel. And there, if you're going to have a four, that means you're going to set it in probably like the mid '80s or '90s or something, or even like, God forbid, in the aughts. And
Yeah.
like, there's great gangster movies in modern era, but um I don't know. It really feels like whatever the not stigma, but the I don't know, the love of that the gangster genre, the crime family genre worked in like the 40s and 50s and 60s, 30s, 40s, whatever. Like that, like it had a romanticized sort of a thing. Whereas like I think a lot of organized crime has kind of devolved into like people talk about like the people that are taking advantage of the fraud that goes on in Minnesota or California or wherever. And they're like, yeah, we want to get to that. We want to get to the bottom of it. But a lot of fraud and that kind of stuff is a lot of like organized crime too. It's a lot of they do a lot of like when the NBA busted some players and coaches and et cetera early last season um uh for gambling and everything. It was a mob front. They were just getting people to gamble. And so like it's not as like romanticized when it's about getting people to gamble, probably online, you know, uh only we'll just say OnlyFans sort of like content. We won't get into all the words that whatever, all the nasty stuff there. They're just into a lot of seedy stuff that doesn't it isn't like romanticized really anymore. A lot of drugs,
Yeah.
like even in the Godfather.
And
What's that?
they also seemingly don't really kill a lot of people anymore.
Well, no, they don't because everyone's watched by everybody and they can't get away with anything. That's why you got to get people on like tax evasion and dodging this and like taking a gun over state lines or whatever it is. So like they're getting them on. I'm glad they're getting them off the street, but like it's. I think it's a lot more difficult to create a mobster movie in the modern era just because of what the mob has turned into.
Yeah. But that being
Yeah.
said, Nicolas Cage and Christopher Walken in a mob movie would be amazing. I would love to see the two of them.
For some reason, I wrote down Christopher Walken on here for. Oh no, I wrote down Christopher Walken, um, because I was going to talk about him. Well, folks, we're going to do a podcast. I had the idea today to do a podcast about the topic of miracles, and one of the films I wanted to talk about was a movie called The Dead Zone with Christopher Walken, who comes out of a coma
The
and
ice is melting.
so so Christopher Walken comes out of it. It's a serious film, but he has some kind of like ability to like touch people and read the future and all this kind of stuff. And it's a sort of supernatural, but he's miraculous that he comes out of a coma. That's why it fits into my miraculous sort of category. Anyway, that's why Christopher Walken was on my mind for a second there. I'm like, wait, Christopher Walken, was he in a movie with? No, he wasn't.
No.
So because because Nick Cage has been in a zillion films. I don't think he's ever been with one with Christopher
I don't
Walken.
think so, and I kind of want to see it. I think
That would be so
that
fun.
combination would be awesome.
And either it has to be they they both are just really doing a good acting role in a really well done film, or it's just the most over the top ridiculous buddy film, comedy that
I think
and it would be amazing.
a good comedy would be something along the lines of Nicolas Cage and Christopher Walken are like retired hitmen that have to do one last job.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no, that would actually be a fun video for you to do like a 30-second or 1 minute video when you have time to like figure out what they would say, but like back and forth between Nick Cage and Christopher Walken as they're doing their, that'd be fun, and then that could be something you could build on. That'd be kind of cool. Yeah,
That'd be great.
yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna see if I had any other movies that I wanted to talk about, but probably the last one. I don't really want to talk about it a lot, but we do have to give him his flowers in that when he runs across a role that he takes really seriously, like Leaving Las Vegas, like he is a really good actor. And he's done a lot of drama over the years. Lord of the War was a drama, it was really good. But it's it's weird. Christopher Walken's like that too. He's like one of like these certain actors you can spoof and we can make fun of and we can laugh with and we can love, but they also do some really good work that like a lot of people forget that that's their bread and butter too.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah.
it was very fun. I love Nicolas Cage. I love
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm looking forward to seeing this new Spider-Man movie with I think some of that genre, like I talked about how I think some of it's kind of we're kind of done with a lot of that to some degree, but maybe because they've like taken every storyline of all the major, characters, but to do something like into the noir kind of stuff is an interesting take, and I think sometimes I know that like they kept adding more characters and more characters and more characters to a lot of these movies, but I think sometimes when they just do like the series,
Yeah,
like
a lot better.
yeah, I think yeah, just focus on, and you can have side characters and the bad guys and good guys, whatever. But like, I think when they stick with just the one storyline, I think not every movie's great, but when you stick with the Spider-Man movies or you stick with um, I wish they would make more of the. It wouldn't fit into what they're doing, but like I really enjoyed the original, the winter, the original Captain America where they're in World War II.
Oh yeah,
I
so
love
good.
period pieces. So I loved when the Wonder Woman, when that was like a period piece, and the sequel to that didn't do very well, the 1984 of Wonder Woman. But so yeah, to just stick with some of the, I don't not saying I want another Iron Man or whatever, but when it comes to those big, those kind of franchises, I'd rather if you're going to do Spider-Man, let's try something interesting like Spider Noir. I mean,
Yeah,
that's super interesting take, So I'm pretty stoked to check it out. So
cool, cool.
yeah.
Uh, Yeah, well, with that, a reminder to like and subscribe if you're new to the podcast. Hello, thanks for watching or listening wherever you get your pods at. Leave some comments. Tell us your favorite Nicolas Cage movie. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
we'll see you next time.
All right. Peace.